The Gallery of Photography in Temple Bar is currently full of bubbles, an exhibition by Michael Boran, the centrepiece of which is an installation of 66 colour prints of images of bubbles. It might sound daft, but bubbles can be beautiful, and the exhibition aims to combine serious metaphysical questions with sheer pleasure.
A bubble only lasts a short time, so that in a sense it's about being in the moment and looking at other moments, because bubbles are a natural organisation. The way they form into patterns is a very basic structure of nature and life. Film itself bubbles. Some of the photographs are made from melting film, and the film has a veil with light behind it. Because in a sense, they're all photographs, but it's almost like the content has been removed, and you're just looking at the film itself on a microscopic level, rather than looking through it, which you normally do. Mirror ball is, on one level it's just about visual pleasure, but it's like a hole in the film where the light spills through, and it's kind of like the final piece of the show, where it's just pure light.
And you've been to the Palace of Bubbles. Were you impressed?
I was, actually. It was a very calming place to be, which is a funny thing. And, you know, I think it does what a good exhibition does, which is to take something kind of usual and ordinary and make it new, and there it is. And to take something that has such a childish pleasure as bubbles, I thought was great. I particularly like the ones that were taken at the moment that the bubble went pop, which is always magic. Magic. And then this sort of scientific interest, you know, when you're four. You discover, you know, structure or whatever, or well, the bubbles, the way they fitted together and how they change shape and everything.
I mean, talking about this to an extent might diminish it, because inevitably it's going to sound kind of daft talking about bubbles. But they are actually beautiful.
They are beautiful things, yeah. It's like crystals. I mean, they're like liquid crystals or whatever.
I mean, if I feared it might have been kind of gimmicky, and when I walked in first I went, oh, here's a lot of shots of bubbles. But when I looked at them, I mean, I thought they were...
Well, if you didn't know they were bubbles, you might have, you know, felt better. They're quite, if I can sound pretentious for a minute, they're quite like those paintings by Mark Francis, which had been shown in the Tate and shown here in IMA, which is the whole sort of cellular structures and microbiology. And like the culture is so in love with science at the moment, and in love with photography anyway, and why wouldn't it be, that this is a real, I think, tongue-in-cheek way of getting at both of those areas as well. The colours are beautiful. I mean, he's using a Cibachrome, and he's printing, I don't know if he prints himself or not, if he prints them himself or not, but he's printing them absolutely beautifully. And, I mean, you could get lost in them. It's fun.
Yeah, well, apparently he did print them himself in the Gallery of Photography, so anyway, they're you know, and you can buy them as well if you want one. Bubbles, again, it sounds daft when you say it, you know, but when we told you had to go and look at this exhibition of bubbles, what did you think initially?
Oh, I thought, grand, why not? Why not? And it was fun. It was lots of fun. It was funny, actually, you know, and it wears that on its sleeve, I think, quite rightly. It's quite light-hearted, which is great, which you don't always associate with going to a gallery. And when you walk into that into the main room, and I don't know, I walked in first of all and I started looking at the pictures, and then I just went, oh, hang on a second. I stood back and there was nobody else there. I just stood in the middle of the room and just swiveled around and it was great, very enjoyable. Very like, I think, a lot of stuff that's been happening in graphic art and particularly in club culture, I think, over in the 90s in general. I mean, all those photographs could be the covers for some set of ambient. I mean, notably you used air not surprisingly, kind of ambient dance music. I mean, that kind of imagery is all over it. When we went up to the little room which it shows at the end with the glitter ball. I mean, I love lava lamps and glitter balls, so I was bound to enjoy myself there. And I mean, I almost expected a disco track to be playing in that room, but it was more laid back than that. I was feeling slightly lightheaded because I'd missed my lunch, and I could see how people who were under the influence of certain substances might want to wander around there for an hour.
There were some very funny titles on them as
well,
well,
exactly. The titles were
Mild Green Fairy was one.
Yeah.
And Bubbles O'Sullivan.
But even the fact that it was capable, I mean, there was a whole other kind of Borges thing happening there, that one would be capable of naming so many bubbles, which basically were the same thing, in so many different ways. I mean, it was like what...
But what about maybe when you read the blurb and you see stuff about metaphysical questions and stuff like that? Is that reading too much into it, apart from the fact that bubbles are things that burst? Is that it? Is that the height of the joke?
I suppose it depends on how you feel it, as Hugh suggested when you walk in there. Yeah. I never believe in reading too many things. I mean, you just go and you just get into it, and it is primarily a visual experience. And after that, things occur to you. I mean, you're going to make visual links, and you're going to make links even with the way, say, film used to, when film is collapsing in itself, the way it all, or stained film, or ruined film, or something like that. I mean, we could probably sit here and, spoof for 10 minutes on metaphysics.
We do that every week.
But the titles alone almost set us up kind of not to do that. I mean, he knows that this is possible. So it's like, how far can you push the visual experience within a very good, interesting, technically well-made thing without actually making it look as if you're sending metaphysics up. But
there's a kind of fascination at the moment, I think, anyway, as you were saying, with photographic images of basic organic and cellular structures. There was a film called Microcosmos about a year and a half ago of insect life, which was fantastic, and some of the imagery in that was a little bit like this. Even in the area of digital animation, a lot of the things that people in digital animation are working with, the way reflective surfaces work off each other, the way spheres work, and things like that. So you see it all over the place.
The great thing about this is that it wasn't computer generated. I mean,
it
hasn't lapsed into some kind of techno sentimentality, which an awful lot of the other gloopy stuff did evolve into. This is really cool, as in clean, distant, clear work, and I think has integrity. I wouldn't like to see it on a club
I wouldn't say
wall.
digital animation never has integrity.
I don't know, though. I mean, I don't know. Wait until they get a bit older. The guys who were doing it.
I kept thinking thinking of at home working and going, all right, I've got a great bubble here, quick, And there's a sense of fun of it.
There is a sense of fun, but it wasn't silly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pleasure, not silliness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that very much.
Okay, I think everybody liked that one.
Yes.
That's
Unanimous.
That's a rarity.